Thank you.
Cliff Mason.
Mayor Dalziel, councillors, thank you for the opportunity to come and make this submission. I'm sure you've noticed the quality of the material that you've received, and I hope that you suitably pay attention to the sense of urgency that's being conveyed and for the many practicable suggestions that you've also been given. I just wanted to talk about the persistent problem in our approach to climate change has been some comforting self-delusion, including the idea of net zero emissions, that we can neutralise our fossil carbon emissions but to restore the planetary ecosystem. And this delusion, although it's widely current and it's embedded in legislation in our emissions trading scheme, results from a narrow focus on the atmosphere and the comings and goings of greenhouse gases from it. But the underlying assumptions, especially those around carbon sinks, are unreliable, and the paper I referred to in my written submission, and which was in the media a few months ago from the University of Waikato, suggested that by as early as 2040, land-based vegetation may release more carbon dioxide than it absorbs as a result of physiological responses to increasing temperatures. It's also uncertain, but not unlikely, that there's be more release of carbon dioxide than absorption in times of drought, such as we're currently experiencing. These effects are widely recognised, but often discounted in action plans, even that of the Climate Change Commission. The sad truth is that there's no way of removing carbon from the biosphere, and any new introduction of fossil carbon is forever. And as a result of that, our mitigation is best focused closely on simply reducing our use of fossil fuels to as near zero as possible. And all those other measures, while valuable, are relatively minor importance. The other thing I emphasised in my submission was the importance of embedded or embodied energy, and I'm pleased to hear this being referred to again. And I strongly support the submission which was made by PTL Structural Consultants, which calls for you to implement a net zero embodied carbon plan for Christchurch. I think this would be an excellent approach. It's every new bit of infrastructure, every new building, every new electric vehicle involves embedded emissions. Our assumption about a boundless clean energy is to help us through are also questionable as the dry years start to stack up the same as the hot years have. The implication from this is that we must value what we have already got and for which we've paid the emissions cost, and to avoid new embedded emissions as far as possible. Action on embedded emissions is also favourable because it's structural rather than involving behavioural change. So I just want to say that we should focus on fossil fuel usage and embedded energy primarily, but I want to finish with some questions for you. In a climate emergency, is it appropriate that our port exports coal and logs and imports urea and ICE vehicles? Is it appropriate in a climate emergency to promote international travel for tourism and business by provision of airports and convention centres? Is it appropriate in a climate emergency to permit demolition without extensive materials salvage or construction using steel, concrete and glass? Is it appropriate to promote automation and communications technologies that substitute high energy use for human labour? And so I ask you to consider those questions and then to take action that is appropriate to the emergency that you have declared. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.